Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. Happy Tuesday. The sun is shining. The weather is pretty okay. It's a little chilly outside, but it's good. Thank you for being here today. So, before I get started, last night, probably around 5:30 or so, I tried to do a lot. What do you call it? A live. I'm still learning a lot of things on here on YouTube, and I want to talk about exercising, but I didn't do it correctly, so it ended up being a second video about exercising, and go take a look at it. It's only about 10 minutes, so if you have a chance, go take a look at it. It's from yesterday evening. But anyway, um, hopefully everyone had a good day and things are going well. Today's been busy, um, but in a good way, really in a good way. So I'm glad about that. God is really good. And I hope these messages are helping you guys. I know a lot of you may be new to the channel, and welcome. I'm welcoming all newcomers because here we talk about grief, healing, we talk about some ways, I tell different stories about personal stories without giving too much detail so that I can help other people. Because sometimes, when you're going through a lot, especially losses and grief and trauma, it's hard to talk about these things. And some people don't talk about it, they just sit with the grief. And that's not good either if you're not doing anything about it, because what happens is that grief stays stagnated within you. Let me fix this so I can sit back a little. So it is so important, to have an outlet for that pain and everything. So what I've been doing lately is just, I'm zooming in on grief and the healing, but I'm using personal stories, which are true stories, um, to help you guys see that, see what I've gone through. I've gone through a lot without giving too much details, names, places, locations. I won't do any of that. However, enough information to see, because people who are listening, some of this information might resonate with you. And then I'm going to talk about how I got through it. And some of this stuff is painful. But if we don't address things in our life, what happens, it just keeps spinning on that wheel and it'll come right back around again. And like I said, life is um, about a reason, a season, a lifetime, or a lesson, and the lessons, we want to learn them quickly so we don't have to repeat them. Because as I said in prior videos, if we repeat these lessons, it's going to be worse the next time that will spin around. So I try to learn them as quickly as I can. So let's jump into the topic today. Before we do that, I want to emphasize, as I do on each video, I'm not a certified or licensed social worker. I don't have a degree in that category. And I'm just speaking from a person who's going through a lot of pain, grief, and despair. And I talk about how I've gotten through it, with the help of God, because I didn't have a support system. And the only thing other that I did was therapy, which I still do to this day, to help me to continue to stay on a path to healing. And it's an outlet. It's one avenue of an outlet that I use to help myself, um, besides prayer and meditation. So the topic of discussion today is sometimes God will send you a blessing. And I want to talk a little bit about God today. We're not doing a sermon. We're not in church. I'm not religious. I do believe deeply in God and have a relationship with Him. But we'll talk about more about that in a different video. Today, I want to share something with you. The topic is sometimes God will send you a blessing. So I like to use metaphors, examples, and storytelling to get points across because it may resonate with some of you what I'm talking about. And I'm hoping that the points that are being shared in this video is helping you. And please feel free to share these videos with others. It's so important that people hear these messages. And thank you for those who've already shared the videos and commented and send me emails. Um, so sometimes when a person pray to God and they beg him and ask him for a specific blessing, um, God will send the help that you need. However, the help that you need may not come in a shape, form, or the specific way that you desire. Okay, let's talk about it. I have some notes here. I want to tell you a true story about a woman who prayed. I'm not giving names or locations, like I said. She was down in life. She had a whole lot of problems, and she needed to heal some things. She needed to get through some things in life, and she didn't know how to get through it. She begged God in prayer. She spent a lot of time in prayer asking God to send help because she was having some difficulties in her life and things were spiraling out of control. She asked God to send help. I don't know all the specifics of her prayer, but I'm going to say that much of it. And she prayed and prayed, and God sent help. But sometimes when we pray in detail to God, I want it to look like this, etc., and so forth. Sometimes God will send a help, but he may not send it in a shape, form, and in a way that we think, or the situation that we think it should happen. Remember, God is not a man, a person. He's a spirit, and God is not of human form. And what he sees is way beyond what we see to fix our problem. Because if we could fix it, we wouldn't be going to him in prayer in the first place. However, God did send help for this person, but the help didn't come in a shape, form, or situation that she desired. Okay? Um, she did not expect the help to come in this form. And what happened is that this help came in a form of another person to come into her life, to help her, and this woman came into her life, to help her with her healing journey and to help her in prayer and to help lift her up and encourage her. And when this person came in, you know, at first, she was allowing the help, etc., and the person was doing what they can to help her. But she started to play and toy with the help that God sent to her. Um, Somewhere down the line, she lost her way because it wasn't in a shape form. That's one part of it, in a way that she wanted it desired it to be. But when God sends you help and he sends it in a certain way, there's a reason for that. We don't see everything. We just see certain things. God sees it all. And this person was there to help her. And, she toyed with it. She played with it. She took advantage of it, used and abused the help that God sent to get her out of a specific situation that she was in, that she prayed and begged him to help her get her out. She prayed day and night and day for this, and God finally answered this prayer and sent her this help. And she, in the beginning, um, it was as if she was grateful for it, but then as time went on, she started to play with the help, toy with it, use it, abuse it, and just do the most and the worst to the help for 3 years. 3 years of all of this, and this person was still steady trying to help her. And then one day, God was sick of it, and the help was removed from her life, and her life fell apart again, you know, because she wasn't grateful. She didn't appear to show gratitude to God for the help that was sent her way. God is a God of grace and mercy, and he doesn't have to do anything for us. But when he does send something, just because it's not in a way that we expect it to come, we should show gratitude and appreciation for it. So after the help was removed from her life, after 3 years of abuse, etc., lying and doing the most and the worst, her life fell apart again, and worse than it was before. And now praying to God and asking God for help, she never received that type of help again. Um, and it's a sad story because this person's life fell apart even more so because it's like God sent answered your prayer and God sent the help your way that you needed. But instead of showing gratitude, she just abused it. So now that it's gone and praying to God again to send more help, what do you think God is going to do? God is a God of grace and mercy, but under these circumstances, what do you think he's going to do? So now this person's situation that they wanted to get out of is far worse than it's ever been. And the motto of this story, because I'm not going to go deeper and deeper into it, but the motto of this story is to show gratitude, because God and other people don't have to help any of us, you know, and we need to show gratitude because this person needed to heal from a specific situation. And at first, it seemed like the person in question was there and was helping them to heal through prayer and other methods, getting them to do therapy and other things. And, you know, because other people didn't like the help that they had, and the other person, the toxic individuals that was around this person, that's one um, source of healing that they had to do, is to remove the toxicity. And for some reason, they couldn't do it. They kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the toxic situations that was keeping them stuck. And then it got to the point where they allowed the toxic situations to interfere with their healing, and to also um, to do the same thing to the person who came into their life as a blessing, to make fun, to lie on them, to do all the most and the worst. And like I said, the blessing was removed from this person. And sometimes people, when appreciation is not shown for things that God does for us, he will remove it. It's always good to be humble and gracious and stuff, because God is a God of grace and mercy. He doesn't have to do anything for any of us. He could say, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do anything, and he doesn't have to budge. you know so any blessings that God send my way, I'm grateful all the time, and I try my best all the time to show gratitude for everything that I have. And I'm talking about this too because there was a time in my life that I talked about a few times, um, where 3 years ago, where I was at the lowest point in my life, and I didn't have a support system. I had to go through everything I went through in a natural alone, but God was there to lift me up. And I learned to lean on Him instead of leaning on other people, because sometimes people will disappoint you. People that you think are there for you and they got your back, especially when you need them the most, may not be there. So God had me to look to Him as the source, because He's the same today, tomorrow, and every day. And I had to learn how to do that. And it was a hard lesson. And this is when I talk about lessons in life, people, because this is what these things are lessons. Sometimes the healing process involves us learning lessons, and are we going to allow other people, like let me use myself instead of, the other way, because I want people to get the point, from my personal situations. Just I wasn't leaning on God the way that I needed to at that particular time. I was leaning on other people, actually in some situations being codependent on them, because I just knew these people, these certain individuals had my back. They did not have my back. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Like I said in a video yesterday, they were just doing the most and the worst behind my back. And God had to sit me down and show me, look at what's really happening and not what you think is happening. And when I saw confirmation of this, I was torn. I fell apart for a while. There was nobody there. Even my dog was gone, you know? And it was like I didn't have a support system, and I had to crawl and bite and chew through and persevere through all this pain, all this betrayal and hurt and everything. But it taught me a lesson. I learned this lesson, people. It was so damn hard. Let me tell you, because I didn't want to see the truth. I didn't want to see the truth. I didn't want this to be the truth and my reality. No, these people got my back. They wouldn't do this. But when I was shown confirmation, irrefutable proof that this is what they were doing, betrayals, lies, deceptions, saying the worst and the most of things that I've never done in my life that I would never do because I'm not that person, trying to make me a negative stereotype. I mean, it was just horrific. And then getting in my face, girl, how you doing? And pretending and the mask, wearing this mask. And as God allowed me to see behind that mask, I fell apart, just losing so much. And then while I'm down, I felt like I was being kicked. You know how you're on your knees, you're not quite down yet, and somebody come and hit you. Make sure you go all the way down to the ground. That's what this felt like. And I couldn't deal with it. I stayed in prayer with God. If you help me, I started making vows that I keep to this day. And that's why God is very active in my life. And anything I ask him for, he answers my prayers and give it to me because I keep those vows that I made. I stay in prayer with him. And more importantly, people, after learning this lesson, because this particular lesson, and the reason why I'm talking to you like this is because this wasn't the first time. You remember I just said a minute ago how these lessons come back again? Well, I didn't learn it the first or the second time or the third time. That wheel kept spinning and spinning. And each lesson, the same one, different people, different shapes, forms, and situation, but the wheel was spinning again, and it was worse than it was before each time that wheel spin. And I was just down for the count. And God showed me time after time what was happening. And I had to pick myself up from the pit, okay, from the bottom. Like the song started from the bottom, now we here. I was in the bottom. Everything around me just was apart, fell apart. And I didn't have a support system. I started praying and asking God if he helped me. This is what I'm going to do, A, B, C, and D. And I keep those vows. I don't play with God, people. And what I've learned after the tears and the pain, deep, deep pain and the inner child, dealing with that and dealing with prior hurts and dealing with, just trying to come back from trauma and all of that and all of these deaths. And you know what, people? It's really hard. And let me tell you something else. And just a little while ago, just a few hours ago, I just got another phone call about a relative who just passed away last night. And I'm like, OMG, feels like this is happening again. But, this time I'm, I can't say, okay, I'm just, it's sad, but I'm not in the same space as I was 3 years ago because I think I am actually handling things better as I didn't do it before. Because another death like this, I will send me into this, like, what do you call that? That I was dealing with the grief triggering the grief. But I learned through prayer and meditation that God has my back and how to deal with these things. And through healing, I learned self-discipline, not to make impulsive decisions, not to allow my emotions to get the best of me where I go and make a bad decision. I take my time with everything that I do, which I've never done before in my life. I mean, I would make impulsive decisions, to date, not really knowing somebody, but hey, they like me. So, hey, let's do it, Oh, let's do this. Let's go here. Let's without thinking things through. And I don't mean every detail of my life I have to sit and think, how am I going to pay this bill? Or I don't mean like that. I mean just taking my time to really get to know people. And it doesn't even have to be a romantic situation. It could be friendship. It could be a business setting. It could be anything that's going to affect my life in a certain way. Take my time, find out more, see where this is going, see if it's authentic or not, instead of just jumping in without knowing what's going on. And it's important that people do that. I encourage people to take their time and get to know situations. There's somebody I grew up with and used to date years ago, when I was a teenager. And I think at some point that would have led to probably me being married and being divorced by this time. But I found out something about this person that if I would have known back in the day, I would have never been involved in a situation. That this person was verbally abusive, not just abusive verbally, but anyway, when we broke up, he went on to marry somebody else, and he just used to beat the hell out of her all the time. And I said, I dodged a bullet. And just other situations with other relationships that I've been in and that I walked away from. And then I find out after that some big thing happened, that this person did something so horrific that I'm like, oh God, thank you for helping me to dodge this bullet, because I don't deserve that. Don't deserve any of it. So my thing is that taking my time and getting to know more and learn more about a situation, any situation, has helped me tremendously. And like I said, it's so important. But sometimes, when I pray to God and I ask for something and He supply it and give it to me, I show gratitude immediately, because God don't have to do anything for me or anybody else. And I show gratitude for it. And I keep the vows that I made to Him, and I do that over and over again. And God has been there for me, whatever I ask. And I'm grateful for that. So my thing is, just because it didn't come in a shape or form or situation that I asked it to, God knows better. He knows, because He sees more of what this situation is about. So that story I just told you earlier, this person lost a blessing, a tremendous blessing from God, because they didn't appreciate it, because it didn't come in a shape or form that they thought it should have been in. And so they played around with it and they fumbled the blessing. And they have to live with that situation. And not only that, now that they lost that blessing, that situation in their life, because that blessing was supposed to help them with that healing process, they lost all of that, everything that came with that. And sometimes we have to lose something in order to realize, we have to hit the low barrel to understand that, the healing, we have to heal things in our life, and if we don't talk about it and we leave those things deep within us, you can't heal. And if you can't heal, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can't evolve. It stays within you, and it affects every area of your life, relationships, every area. Our mental and physical health is affected. Every area of our life is affected when we don't heal. And like I said, sometimes God has sent a blessing to help you to heal in your life. So, my motto now is not to question God, not to question what He sent. If He sends a blessing, I'm going to accept it and show gratitude for it. Because what He did in my life at my lowest point, and He helped me back up. I wasn't getting back up. God is the reason why I'm up and why I keep going, because I persevere through the pain and the hurt and everything else related to it. So people keep going. And if you get a blessing your way, accept the blessing, show gratitude to God, because and lean on Him, you know. That's the message today. Somebody needs to hear this. This is why I'm talking about this, because I know this is going to resonate with someone. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate you, and keep going. Know that you're going to have good days where you feel great, And you're going to have those days where you don't feel good, and it's okay. Let yourself feel what you need to feel, but don't give up on you. Always invest in you. Self love is important because it's going to help you to help yourself. Self love leads to self care. I have learned and still learning through all of this healing process and on this journey to turn pain into power, power into purpose, into moving it forward, paying it forward to help other people. And it helps me as well. Thank you all for being here today. I'll be back with a new message tomorrow. Sometimes I'll use illustrations, metaphors, and other methods to get the point across so that it can resonate with someone who needs to hear these messages. Thank you for being here. This is Lisa shedding love and light. And you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.